requirements occurred regarding independence. So really the only kind of non-audit service we do is we prepare the financial statements as part of our audit. We prepare it from information provided by management. We really just adjust, as you know, you kind of have two bases of accounting included within your financial statements. So we adjust your accrual basis to the fund basis as part of that process. Management reviews and takes responsibility for all of that. They also prepare the MD&A, which we review, management's discussion and analysis, so no issues with ethics requirements or independence. We're required to disclose any significant accounting policies, estimates, and disclosures. So significant estimates within your financial statements are the amount of May and June sales tax outstanding as of June 30th. So that is an estimate both as a receivable and as a payable for the amounts you would then pay to the city, less any set-asides and administrative costs. Accrual of interest income and interest expense relative to the bonds and the mirror bonds, as well as amortization on both of those. Accrual of the net pension position for the New York State Employees Retirement System. That information comes from a third-party actuarial valuation that KPMG does for New York State. And then your own calculation of other post-employment benefits and all of the related disclosures. So the significant disclosures we think mirror really where those large estimates are. So we would say if you were to read through just some of your financial statement notes, we would tell you to look at note 4, which includes those sales tax receivables as well as the mirror bonds. Note 5, which is your bonds payable. It includes the bond payment schedule, so you have payments through 2026. Note 6, which is the disclosure of the ERS pension plan, and note 7, which is disclosure of your other post-employment benefits. As far as the other items on here, we had no issues that we need to address or discuss. The audit went smoothly. We got all information as requested. We had no adjustments other than for the different accounting bases. And the only open item is the representation letter, which I'm assuming we'll probably get today, and then we can issue this final once it is approved.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry, is there any discussion or questions for Ms. Dayton or BFSA staff? Okay, hearing none, is there a sorry?
I think there were a couple more comments that Sarah had for us.
Okay, didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
No problem. So page 3 is our management letter. This is where we would disclose to you any material weaknesses in your internal control. We had no material weaknesses, and in fact, we had no comments or recommendations as a result of our audit procedures. The only items included within your management letter are a few points on upcoming governmental accounting standards. They just keep issuing them. So GASB's 96, 100, and 101 will be effective for 2023, 2024, and 2025 respectively. GASB 96 relates to different accounting for subscription-based IT arrangements. So if anything, this would be your software. So we'll review that with management during this year to see if anything needs to change as far as that accounting for next year. GASB 100 just explains whether it's retroactive or prospective reporting of accounting changes or error corrections. And GASB 101 on compensated absences. So this is accumulated sick and vacation time. Really just kind of simplifies or documents how that should be accrued. And we don't expect any significant impact of any of these on the authority as of now. Turn it to Liz to go through some of the numbers for you.
On slide 4, we have your statement of net position. As of June 30th of 2022, you had cash equivalents, and investments at $2,703,000. Consistent with the prior year, you had notes receivable from the city of Buffalo of $3,026,000, and this was a decrease from the prior year based on the payments that were received on your 2005A and 2007A notes receivable. You had amounts due from other governments. This is your sales tax, May and June accrual received in July and August of 2022. sitting at 16,433,000. And then you have a little bit of other assets, that's mostly your pension assets this year. From BFSA. So overall total assets totaled $22,339,000. You had some deferred outflows of resources mainly relating to that ERS pension, 263,000. Liabilities, you had amounts due to the city of Buffalo. This is again your sales tax being remitted to the city of Buffalo and paid after the end of the year, totaling $15,898,000. Bonds payable, payments made on your 2007 and 2015 A bonds. Your liability set at $5,079,000. And then sitting in other is your OPEB, your other employment benefits liability, and some miscellaneous payables of $1,142,000. You had deferred inflows of resources of $517,000, again relating to the ERS pension. And then by default, you have net pension position sitting at a deficit of $44,000, broken out between restricted and unrestricted. Restricted is really just your debt service, less than what's receivable from the city. On the next slide, you have your statement of activities. You start off with your general revenues. You have your sales tax sitting at $164,605,000. This is a decrease in the prior year. We're seeing that negative impact of coronavirus retreating. You're getting back to your normal sales tax receipts that you were seeing in previous years. State aid of $161,285,000. Normally this does sit right at $161 million, but in the prior, well, in 2020 you had 20% withheld from the state. That was remitted in 2021, so you had an additional $19.7 million as a catch up in 2022. And then you have some interest and other income of $153,000. So total general revenues as of June 30th of 2022 was $326,043,000. City and expenses, you have your distributions to the city of Buffalo and to the school district. Within that $268 million, you have $104.8 million of sales tax and another $163.7 of state aid being remitted to the city. And then to the school district, you have $56,939,000 of sales tax payments. And then sitting in general administrative, you have $367,000. This is a decrease from the prior year, only again for those top 5 entries with other post-employment benefits and ERS. We had an additional expense of $228,000 in 2021, and then we had pension income and OPEB income of about $275,000. So that just, you saw that net impact hitting your general administrative expense. Total expenses amounted to $325,794,000. Overall change in that position of $249,000. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm looking at the draft of the balance sheet here.
Yep.
I'm looking at a number of $558,000 in unassigned fund balance. Why would the BFSA have an unassigned fund balance?
So
And why wouldn't that money be turned back over to the city?
I think it's just the net balance of what's been held for administrative costs that is sitting available as of June 30th. So a timing, I believe, between what has been held from amounts collected for sales tax not yet remitted to the city.
Okay, but at some point, will this
Yeah.
number be reduced, or a portion of which will be remitted back to the city?
Ultimately, yes, anything not used for
Anything not
administrative
used.
costs.
And administrative costs are such as
Salaries, the pension contributions, audit fees, legal fees.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, but at some point, after those expenses are paid off, the money does get remitted back to the city or the appropriate entity?
We maintain like a certain compensating balance, so to speak, so that we don't incur bank fees that we spoke to the controller's office with. So we work together.
Is
with
that based
them.
on a percentage? Is there, what would be the, like you said, it's based on what as a threshold, or you think is significant enough to
it used to be that there was a certain dollar amount that was given to us, but then the bank sold, it went to another bank, and then went to another bank. So now our representative just waives our fee for us. So we've actually reduced the amount that we've been holding over time so that more of it has gone back to the city.
Have we done any sort of bank analysis on what is required as far as compensating balances are to the banks?
No.
Okay, so in other words, we don't know whether or not we're overpaying maybe on the bank fees or reserves for bank fees?
We don't have bank fees right
No,
now.
you don't have them.
Right.
I was just wondering if there's calculation as to whether they're being overcompensated in balances as opposed to maybe bank fees.
Not recently, but I can tell you a couple of years ago, we had an analysis performed where they gave us, based on what the current interest rate environment was at that time, what the balance of cash we'd have to hold on to and what we would earn what the break even was between that and the bank fees.
Sure.
And it was significantly higher. So the arrangement the way it was. So we're holding less cash and they're continuing to waive our bank fees.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're
Yeah.
not overcompensating the bank for their service fees.
Absolutely. I feel confident that we're not, but we could always revisit the conversation. I don't know if I want to highlight that we're not being charged anything right
Well,
now.
no, I don't want to, it's not a highlight. I want to make sure we're not being overpledged.
Yeah, no, I meant to the bank. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about that.
I was just, it's just not my observation. I apologize.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to forward the audit and its findings to the full board with a recommendation for approval?
So moved.
Second, any
Second.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item includes the review of the annual report and the recommendation for the full board to approve this item in substantially its final form, as well as to delegate authority to the chair, the interim vice chair, the executive director, and the controller to make any necessary changes that may be required for its accurate completion. The draft annual report has been provided to you for your review. Is located under tab 2. It is noted that the annual investment report is included as an appendix to the annual report. Jeanette will briefly discuss these reports with us.
Thank you. I just have a couple highlights for you. The annual report's a comprehensive document that summarizes the activities of the BFSA during the most recent fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. It is required under public officers law to be filed within 90 days with New York State and the State Controller's Office, along with the audited financial statements. So we'll be doing that over the next week. In addition to filing this report with the Office of the State Controller, we distribute copies to other various state officials as required by public authorities law. In addition to other interested parties that we're not required to submit a copy to, but we do send one to. And we also post it to this BFSA's website. It supplements reports that have been provided in past, and it's been prepared relatively consistently with what you've seen in last year's. There's a general discussion, which includes the overall purpose and the mission of the organization and how BFSA operates under its statute. Governance and administrative functions are discussed. We did update and enhance the conversation regarding the recovery from coronavirus that was mentioned during the audit presentation. Additionally, there is an in memoriam dedicated to Mr. James McGavin for the service that he provided not only to us, but also to the entire region through all his public service. The second main area of the report is the summary of accomplishments, and this provides the performance measurements over the last year. It includes a broad discussion of key economic and financial statistics that reflect the progress of the city and the covered organizations, as well as some of the challenges that are currently faced by these organizations. A discussion of the financial planning process as representing the core of BFSA's financial oversight is included, along with a summary of the work conducted by BFSA on that oversight. We include a high-level description of the various reports that were issued or discussed, or verbal reports that were made during the meetings. Any responses received from the covered organizations or the city would be included in this area. We had a total of 36 reports over the last year. Other fiscal monitoring is discussed, which includes monitoring workforce trends. We discussed the summary of the financing framework. As we've discussed in many meetings, we have a enhanced credit rating than the city just due to the way we are established with the direct intercept of state aid and sales tax. And finally, a cumulative financial impact summary of the BFSA is included. The estimate from BFSA direct actions, and most of this would have been while the board was in a control period, is $315.6 million. Significantly, $240 million of this represents the estimated savings to the city and covered organizations that was provided during the wage freeze, which provided the organizations a reset period. Financial plan actions through the control period totaled just under $145 million, with the total impacts to date of $460.4 million. The third section provides the final BFSA reports on our review and analysis of the financial plans and budgets of the city and the covered organizations. And as a pursuant to a recommendation that we received from legal counsel last year, the investment report has been added as an appendix to the annual report. It includes the list of cash and investments of $2.7 million. That's based on fair value. Total investment earnings for the year was just under $70,000 on a modified accrual basis. And they are transferred twice a year to the city. No investment fees or commissions were paid. And there's a disclosure of trustee fees, which is the Bank of New York, and that was $6,356. Any questions on the annual report?
No,
So lots of cover.
a lot to cover.
Yes.
Interesting background reading.
Good job, staff, everybody.
Chair Olson,
Okay, is there a motion to accept the annual report as presented to us in substantially its final form, to delegate authority to the BFSA chair, the interim vice chair, the executive director, and the controller to make any necessary changes that may be required for its accurate completion?
so moved.
Second, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye,
Aye.
okay. Final item of business is to extend the contract with PFM Financial Advisors for a one-year period from October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. PFMFA has served as the financial advisor to the BFSA since the period that BFSA issued debt on behalf of the city and retains the historical knowledge related to these complex transactions. PFM has agreed to maintain hourly rates consistent with last year. Copy of a letter confirming the terms and the accompanying draft resolution has been provided under tab 2 of your board book. Is there a motion to engage PFM for a one-year period as discussed?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Vote no.
Pardon?
No,
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
that's okay. Don't worry about it.
Opposed? Okay, is there any new business to address? Hearing none, this concludes this meeting of the Audit, Budget and Finance Committee of the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Nils.